cuts. What exactly are they going to pass? What will a conference committee do to the bill? And is there a bill that can satisfy both houses of Congress and the president and end up being signed before Christmas? Let's check in with Alexandra Smith from America Rising. And she joins us from our nation's capital. Alexandra, I know you've been following what's been going on the floor of the United States Senate. Where are we? Are we really just hours away from passing this thing?
I believe so. I mean, I think that Senator McConnell has done a great job in getting the votes for this. And I think that actually President Trump did a great job when he spoke to the conference just a few days ago in helping these senators get to a place of yes. And so, look, I think at the end of the day, the Republicans are going to be remembered for having delivered historic tax reform and tax relief to the American people just in time for Christmas. And what will be remembered by a lot of the voters back home is that there are a lot of Democrats who didn't even show up to the table.
Do you think we will get any Democrat votes later this afternoon?
You know, we'll see. I know a few of them have kind of put on a good show of meeting with the president, senators like Heidi Heitkamp and Joe Manchin. But I think what we're really seeing is that at the end of the day, unfortunately, that was all optics. I had hope. You know, I mean, if for no other reason than they're concerned about their own political futures. These are senators who come from states that President Trump won in 2016 by over double digits. And so, so basically, they really had a political incentive, if for no other reason than wanting to do the right thing in this situation for getting to the table. But it appears that all of those meetings were kind of a sham.
Again, Alexandra Smith is joining us from America Rising. What is America Rising? I think I know because they've advertised on my show before, but what is America Rising?
So America Rising is the Republican Party's premier opposition research firm. So what we do is we track Democratic candidates. Now, contrary to the caricature that you might think of an opposition researcher, we're not, dumpster diving. We're not going through people's trash to figure out information. We're basically using video footage from publicly available events. We're using public document requests. Looking through property records, essentially any kind of documentation or visuals that the average citizen would have access to. What we then do is we take all of that information and we package it into narratives that help voters make a choice. What we want to do at the end of the day is to prevent buyer's remorse, if you will, voter's remorse in these contests where, I think a lot of these politicians have very hypocritical stances given some of their behavior.
Can you vet people like Todd Akin from a couple of election cycles? I mean, is that what your organization tries to do?
Sure. I mean, in some cases we do get called to vet some of our own because, of course, what we want to do is to prevent or is to be on offense when the Democrats, who have a similar group, basically will come at us with all of the attacks that they have available. So we certainly kind of look at it from a critical eye, even with respect to our own candidates.
Let's get back to tax reform. What's the difference between the Senate bill and the House bill? I had Dean Heller in here a couple of weeks ago and said there really isn't that much of a difference, but there is a difference in a number of key areas. Can you talk a little bit about the differences in the House bill versus the Senate bill?
I think, one of the big differences between the Senate and the House bill is how many tax brackets there are. So the House bill condenses that down to 3. With the Senate, you have nearly double that. Where I think, though, that they have more in common, like Senator Heller said, is that, these are really bills, the two of them, that are focused on middle-class tax relief and doing that through tax cuts for the middle class, but also by lowering the corporate rate and also the rate for pass-through corporations so as to stimulate the economy in a way that works for everyone through job creation and greater growth. If you'll remember, for the last 8 years, we've kind of been stalling out at somewhere around 2% GDP growth. That's just been unacceptable for the American people. And so I think, right now we're starting to see that tick up to 3.5%. And I think with this new bill, it will help it even go further.
How long will it take? And I'm not an economist, so I'm the last guy to talk about this, but I'm curious, if they pass a bill today, it goes to conference, they agree with the House, they get it to the president before Christmas. Will this be effective in 2017 taxes, or will this only be effective for 2018?
So I would have to look at the particulars of whatever the final bill, whatever the final bill says. But remember, when you do your taxes in April, you're really doing the taxes for the previous year, not for the year coming up. So, any tax relief is definitely forward-looking. Unfortunately, we've already worked the whole year.
Yeah, I'm curious, though, when will I start seeing a difference? When will I see more money in my pocket? When will the economy see an upturn? Is this going to take a while?
We've already seen an upturn. Look at the stock market right now, record highs. I feel like every time I turn on the television or look at the Wall Street Journal, we've broken some new records in terms of how high the stock market is growing. We've seen that we're at 3.5% GDP growth. That's incredible for where we were at this time last year even. So I think that the gears are already turning. I think that the marketplace is starting to anticipate that, they're banking big on tax reform getting passed. And I think that that's a signal to them as well that, hey, if tax reform can get passed, then so can infrastructure. And that's going to create a lot of jobs and a lot of opportunities that are going to further spur this growth in the economy.
Again, Alex,
I think that in terms of what kind of relief can you see, I think it immediately on your taxes for next year, should this pass, should be effective for the 2018 fiscal year. You would see, and depending on what the final bill looks like, I would hope that you would see the child care credits, that you would see greater standard deduction, which would be under the House plan $24,000 if you're married and filing jointly. There are plenty of opportunities for relief, and also the residual effects of the corporations doing better, and hopefully resulting in higher wages and more jobs for American workers.
Alexandra, let me ask you, the Democrats are claiming this is not going to work for middle America, that it's another trickle-down project, and trickle-down economics has never worked in this country. Is that true?
No, I think you could see after the last major tax reform, which was passed before I was even born, that we saw huge economic growth come out of that. And so, the Democrats, they're just sort of reflexively against this. They're not really offering any particular reasons why they're against it. And in fact, on many of the major provisions, whether it's lowering the corporate rate or expanding the tax cuts for the middle class, many of them were in complete favor of this, ran on these principles before they were against it. This is just a knee-jerk kind of reaction to just say no to anything that the White House and the Republicans in Congress propose. And I really think that that's to their own political detriment, because 2016 was a pretty strong signal from the American people that they wanted to change the way things were done in Washington. They wanted to see more coming together, more working together, and the fact that not a single person will show up and cross the aisle to help this get over the line, I think that they're going to have to pay for that back home.
Again, Alexandra Smith joining us from America Rising. Tell me about the conference committee. A lot of people are saying, I guess that'll be a slam dunk. I'm not sure if it will, because you got some cantankerous folks in the House, the Freedom Caucus and others. How difficult a hurdle do you think that will be?
I mean, look, anything in the legislative process, I think it's uncertain. What gives me hope, though, is that all of these coalitions that you're talking about, sort of the competing viewpoints, these were all, these were all around during the health care debate, and we saw that didn't get out of the Senate, and that was a tough hill to get over. The fact that they're at 50 votes in the Senate is a pretty encouraging sign, and I think that I think it's a good sign that we're going to be able to come together on this, and that everyone's going to be able to give a little to get a little.
Alexandra, if folks want to know more about what you folks are doing at America Rising, whether it be tax policy or other things, where can they go? Do you got social media? What do you have?
Yep, you can go to AmericaRisingPAC.org, or you can follow us on Twitter at America Rising. Very
good. Alexandra, thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
Have a great weekend. Alexandra Smith joining us from America Rising. She says it's going to get done. Most everybody I'm talking to now says this thing's probably going to get done. Stick around. More to do as we continue. You want to join us? Want to be a part of the show? You can. 844, the number 2, Nevada. Lindsey Graham.